You are standing in front of an unfamiliar plant. It has a thick root, a strong smell, and absolutely no label telling you whether it will feed you or kill you. No app to scan it. No book to check. Just the plant, and whatever knowledge exists in your own head or the heads of the people around you. How did your ancestors ever figure this out, across thousands of different environments, without a single fatal mistake wiping out everything they'd learned? You already know humans eat an enormous range of foods. What's easy to miss is how genuinely dangerous the process of discovering that range must have been. Many wild plants are toxic. Some look nearly identical to ones that aren't. Getting it wrong isn't a minor inconvenience. It's potentially fatal, immediately or slowly, and the knowledge of what went wrong dies with the person who made the mistake, unless someone else was watching closely enough to learn from it. Start with the body's own first line of defense, because it's older than any culture. Psychologist Paul Rozin, who spent decades studying how humans decide what counts as food, described something he called the omnivore's dilemma. Because humans can eat such a wide range of things, every new food is simultaneously an opportunity and a threat, and your brain is wired to treat it with genuine caution by default. Bitterness, specifically, triggers an almost universal reflex of suspicion. Bitter compounds are disproportionately associated with toxins, and humans carry a whole family of bitter taste receptor genes, remarkably varied across individuals and populations, essentially a built-in chemical alarm system that predates culture entirely. But instinct alone gets you nowhere near far enough. Most edible wild foods require actual, hard-won knowledge, tested and passed down, not discovered fresh by every individual through trial and error. Picture what real trial and error would actually cost. A slow-acting toxin might not show symptoms for hours or days, long after the meal is forgotten, making cause and effect nearly impossible to figure out through direct personal experience alone. This is exactly why the knowledge had to become social, observed, and transmitted, rather than relearned individually every single generation. One of the clearest examples of exactly how sophisticated this knowledge became involves a plant that, in its raw form, is genuinely lethal. Cassava, also called manioc, a root vegetable that remains a staple food for hundreds of millions of people today. Raw bitter cassava contains cyanogenic compounds that release cyanide when the plant cells are damaged. Indigenous peoples throughout the Amazon developed an elaborate, multi-step detoxification process involving peeling, grating, soaking, pressing out the liquid, and then cooking the remaining pulp, sometimes over several days, that reliably renders the plant safe. Anthropologists studying this process have noted something remarkable. No single step alone fully detoxifies the root. The full sequence had to be discovered, refined, and then transmitted with total fidelity, because a shortened or incorrect version of the process could still be dangerous. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. This kind of knowledge didn't stay confined to one continent or one plant. On the opposite side of the world, California's indigenous peoples faced a comparable problem with acorns, an abundant, calorie-dense food source undermined by high concentrations of bitter, digestion-disrupting tannins. Archaeologists have found grinding stones and leaching pits at sites used for generations, physical evidence of a labor-intensive process. Cracking, grinding into meal, then repeatedly rinsing that meal with water, sometimes for hours, to draw the tannins out before the acorns became genuinely nutritious and palatable. Two completely unrelated cultures, continents apart, independently arrived at broadly similar solutions: water-based leaching to broadly similar chemical problems, bitter, toxic plant compounds standing between people and a reliable food source. So how did knowledge like this actually spread and survive across generations, given how catastrophic a single mistake could be? Researchers studying traditional ecological knowledge point to several overlapping mechanisms working together. Careful observation of animals eating specific plants safely provided an early, informal signal, though an imperfect one, since some foods safe for animals remain toxic to humans. Small, deliberately cautious tasting, by an experienced adult rather than a child, limited the potential damage of any single new discovery. And critically, oral tradition, recipes, warnings, and specific step-by-step processes passed down explicitly through direct teaching meant no single person ever had to rediscover cassava detoxification or acorn leaching from scratch. This reframes what knowing what's safe to eat actually meant for most of human history. It wasn't primarily a matter of individual intelligence or gut instinct. It was a form of cultural infrastructure, arguably as sophisticated and as essential to survival as any tool or shelter your ancestors built, refined collectively over countless generations, and transmitted with a level of precision that had to be nearly perfect, because the cost of a garbled recipe wasn't inconvenience. It was death. Now think about your own relationship with food today. You almost certainly can't identify which wild plants around you are safe to eat, and that's not a personal failing. It's a direct consequence of no longer needing that specific, hard-won knowledge, because it's been replaced by an entirely different system. Regulated farms, labeled ingredients, food safety agencies, recipes written down instead of spoken and demonstrated. The underlying need, reliable knowledge about what's safe to put in your body, hasn't gone away at all. It's simply been outsourced to a completely different kind of infrastructure than the one your ancestors built and depended on. You are standing in front of an unfamiliar plant, and you have absolutely no idea whether it's safe. Your ancestors stood in front of thousands of unfamiliar plants, across thousands of different environments, and slowly, generation by generation, mistake by careful mistake, built a body of knowledge precise enough to turn cyanide-laced roots and tannin-choked acorns into reliable dinner. That knowledge was never obvious. It was earned, tested, and handed down, one careful lesson at a time, by people determined to make sure you'd never have to learn it the hard way again.